June 10th, on this day, in 1190, Holy Roman Emperor Frederick I Barbarossa drowned while attempting to cross the Salef River in what is now Turkey. At the time, he was leading his army as part of the Third Crusade with the goal of reaching Jerusalem. In 1692, Bridget Bishop became the first person executed during the Salem witch trials, as she was hanged in Salem, Massachusetts after being found guilty of witchcraft. In 1735, John Morgan was born. He would later become the physician-in-chief of the American Continental Army, an important role during the Revolutionary War. In 1772, Rhode Islanders boarded and burned the British revenue cutter Gaspee in Narragansett Bay in an early act of colonial protest against British taxation. In 1776, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to draft the Declaration of Independence, setting the stage for the American colony's separation from Britain. In 1786, a landslide dam on the Dadu River collapsed after being weakened by an earthquake 10 days earlier. This disaster killed around 100,000 people in Sichuan Province, China. In 1801, the state of Tripoli declared war on the United States, objecting to America's refusal to continue paying tribute, which initiated the First Barbary War. In 1861, Dorothea Dix was appointed superintendent of female nurses for the Union Army during the American Civil War, greatly improving the standards of military nursing. In 1864, during the Battle of Bryce's Crossroads in Mississippi, Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest defeated a much larger Union force, showcasing his tactical prowess. In 1865, Richard Wagner's opera Tristan und Isolde premiered in Munich, Germany. This work exemplified his concept of music drama and became one of the most influential German operas of the late 19th century. In 1895, Hattie McDaniel, who would become a pioneering African-American actress and the first to win an Academy Award, was born. In 1898, Spain declared war against the United States, and United States Marines landed in Cuba, escalating the conflict known as the Spanish-American War. In 1905, Japan and Russia agreed to begin peace talks after months of conflict, with United States President Theodore Roosevelt acting as mediator. In 1907, the Lumiere brothers introduced autochrome Lumiere, the first practical and commercially successful technology for producing color photographs. In 1909, an SOS signal was transmitted for the first time in an emergency after the Cunard liner SS Slavonia was wrecked off the Azores. In 1920, the Republican Convention in Chicago endorsed women's suffrage, marking an important milestone in the fight for equal voting rights in the United States. In 1924, Italian socialist leader Giacomo Matteotti was kidnapped and assassinated by fascists in Rome, marking a turning point in Italy's political climate. In 1929, biologist E.O. Wilson, recognized as the world's leading authority on ants, was born in the United States. In 1935, Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob Smith founded Alcoholics Anonymous, starting a global mutual aid fellowship to help people overcome alcoholism. In 1936, the Russian animation studio Soyuz Multfilm was established. Over the years, it produced more than 1,500 films, many of which became Soviet and international classics. In 1940, Italy under Benito Mussolini declared war on France and Great Britain, officially entering World War II on the side of the Axis powers. In 1940, the Norwegian army capitulated to German forces, leading to the occupation of Norway during World War II. In 1942, German forces destroyed the Czech village of Lidice and killed over 1,300 residents in retaliation for the assassination of Nazi official Reinhard Heydrich. In 1943, Allied forces began bombing Germany around the clock, marking a new phase in the strategic bombing campaign of World War II. In 1944, during the Normandy campaign, the United States 7th and 5th Corps joined forces after advancing from the beaches, allowing Allied troops to begin moving inland. In 1948, the United States Air Force publicly revealed that Chuck Yeager had broken the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 rocket plane on October 14, 1947. In 1963, United States President John F. Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act into law, a landmark bill addressing wage disparity based on gender. In 1963, Buddhist monk No Quang Duc died by self-immolation in Saigon, protesting religious persecution by the Diem government in South Vietnam. In 1967, Margrethe II of Denmark married Prince Henrik in Copenhagen, a significant royal event in Danish history. In 1967, the Six-Day War ended as Israel and Syria agreed to a United Nations-brokered ceasefire, concluding 6 days of conflict that resulted in major territorial changes. In 1970, a group of 15 Special Forces soldiers began training for Operation Kingpin, a planned mission to rescue prisoners of war in North Vietnam. In 1977, Apple Computer shipped its first Apple II computers, marking the start of the personal computer revolution in homes and offices. In 1977, James Earl Ray, the convicted assassin of Martin Luther King Jr., escaped from prison in Tennessee, but was recaptured after about 54 hours. In 1977, American golfer Al Geiberger became the first player to score below 60 in a Professional Golfers Association Tour event, shooting a 59 during the second round of the Danny Thomas Memphis Classic. In 1985, the Israeli army withdrew from Lebanon after 1,099 days of occupation, concluding a controversial period in Middle Eastern politics. In 1999, the Kosovo War ended when Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic agreed to withdraw his forces after a major North Atlantic Treaty Organization bombing campaign. The intervention was controversial, as it lacked a United Nations mandate. In 2003, NASA launched the Spirit Rover, beginning a major mission to explore the surface of Mars as part of the Mars Exploration Rover program. In 2007, HBO aired the final episode of the landmark television series The Sopranos, which became infamous for its abrupt, cut-to-black ending and left a lasting impact on television storytelling. In 2016, Canadian ice hockey player Gordie Howe, known for his extraordinary puck handling, scoring ability, and legendary toughness, passed away in Toledo, Ohio.
Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's events.